Opposed? Thank you. Okay, moving right along to our citizens' participation. Dr. Siebert, are you here? Yeah, there he is. I believe you brought some representatives with you this evening from the your community health center.
That is correct.
Okay, well, we'll turn the floor over to you guys and you can fill us in. Yeah, that's all that. And you're here. I'm here.
Absolutely. So I want to introduce Amanda Munns. She is with the Your Community Health Center out of Rolla, and we're basically not here to present the council with anything other than we want to know the resource that's available to our citizens. About 3 years ago, we got the mobile unit?
It's been about 2 years.
2 years, okay. So they have a mobile health unit that Amanda's going to answer some questions on here in just a minute that I helped write a letter of support for a couple of years ago for this grant to be awarded. And essentially, so imagine a giant RV.
Yes.
But if you go in the RV, it's just like going into an office, a doctor's office. And on the handout that you've got right there are all of the things that they can do in that clinic. And the unit is specifically to serve Dent County, and they're down in Salem regularly, and then Crawford County. And when they started in Crawford County, they were regularly in Steelville, and we've slowly migrated our way up to Cuba. They've been in Macy's parking lot a couple of times. You may have seen it, because when I say it's a giant RV, like it's big. So they've been in Macy's parking lot a couple of times over the past month and a half. But we're working to get the mobile unit here on a consistent basis. Whether that, and this will be a work in progress, at some point we may request the council to see if we can park it out here in the parking lot between the senior center the senior center and the rec line. Ideally, I'm going to connect them with the food pantry, because I think a great place to have it would be on the day that when we have the primary day of when individuals go pick up their food, that we've got the clinic that's basically in direct proximity of that. So because essentially one of the things that we do is the people that need this resource, they don't know that it's here for them. And so one of the things, and Amanda, I'll let you can see on there the list of things that they provide. One of the things in particular is you all are a great resource to low-income families.
We are. So we accept all Medicaid plans, all insurances that are private, and we also, if you do not have insurance, we see you on a sliding scale fee based upon your income. So even if your only income is food stamps or Social Security, anything of that nature, if you were living with family kind of in a transitional period, we will take a letter of reference just for that, and we base your copay on that. It can be as low as $5 for them to receive the care that they need.
So essentially, and that right there is very instrumental to a lot of our families, particularly our children that don't have insurance. So basically, this is a place where they're not going to turn them away for care. And you can see on there the list of services that they can provide. This is another one that's very important, is that they provide what's called MAT, which is medically assisted treatment. So, Amanda, do you want to tell them a little bit about that?
Sure. The medically assisted treatment program is treatment for people who are in recovery of addictions for opioids and other drug substances. We have grants that help these people find the right resources, the right providers, our core providers, all provide care to these patients, whether it be on the mobile unit via telehealth or in person. And they also have the option of the low income, the sliding scale, no insurance, state insurance or private insurance. We accept it all for that program as well. And it helps them, depending on what their substance use was, we can help provide them resources within the community and medications to help them stay clean.
And essentially, that's at a very low cost.
Yes.
The other thing and the last thing is that they also provide dental care, which is another pretty significant need in this community. I know the school has a partnership, but that's one of the things that we just wanted to make you all aware of. Is there anything that you would add on the dental side?
We do see, the snowmobile does come in to see the children, every year. We are also hoping to move into community dental days where we can park the unit and have a dentist come out and provide free health care or dental screenings for, oral health for the community as well. So that the population that needs the dental care that may not have insurance can afford such services.
So, anything you want to add that I didn't cover?
Thank you all for your time tonight, and letting me speak. I greatly appreciate it.
Guys, go ahead, Jeff.
So what do we need, the recommendation to use the lotto here?
Well, at this point, we just wanted to be here to let you all know that the resource exists. Certainly, you are a group of people that are well known throughout the community, know a lot of people out in the community. So today, we're really not here to request anything. It was more for information only. And I just wanted to introduce them to our mayor, to our council, to let you all know that they're here. And then, if you think of ideas and you have possible suggestions or something where you go, hey, this might be a good fit someplace, you can let me know, and I'll relay that to Amanda. Because at the end of the day, I just want as many of our citizens as we can help. They're here to do that, and I want us to help with that process in the way that we can.
How often will she be down?
That right now, we are supposed to meet with the superintendent next week to design a schedule for the school, and I would like to move forward in meeting with the proper channels for community as well.
I mean, ideally, we'd love to have them here at least once a week. And I think they've got the staffing and they've got the financial resources they can do that. What we just need is to create the community demand so that they're here and not seeing any patients. So that they can be here, honestly, probably something. I couldn't say every day, but honestly, at least one day, if not multiple days, if we prove that there's a demand. Because they're funded by a grant. And so this comes at no expense to any of us. And so certainly the more that we can show demand, the more resources that they're able to secure.
I think it's good service. Yeah, I do.
Yes, ma'am.
So, you're very active in Denton County, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, do you have any kind of a partnership with the medical care providers that are already within the area where you are? What kind of reception do you have, a relationship, I guess?
Sure. So we don't have any necessarily any relationships with medical providers in Denton County because we do the telehealth services through the mobile unit. What happens is that a patient will come onto the mobile unit, the nurse will take care of them as far as getting their vitals and what they need for that day. And then we telehealth into the 4 providers that work for your community health center, and they take care of them and treat them for whatever they need to be seen. Typically right now, we're averaging around 4 to 5 patients a day in Denton County, which doesn't sound like a lot, but telehealth is a pretty lengthy process as far as you come in, getting comfortable, getting used to. Yes, so it's good 30 minutes per patient, and then we would love for it to grow even more, obviously.
And so Debbie, I think they are not a competitor, because ideally the services they're providing would be what the others would turn away, because they don't have health care, they don't offer the sliding fee scale. So they're not seen like, and rather they're a really huge asset to Phelps Health, because they can provide services that Phelps Health would decline because there's no opportunity for them to ever collect compensation.
And we do partner with Phelps Health and the ED department and various other places that they know if their patients need certain care that we can provide that they may not be able to afford, or they may not have insurance and those providers cannot see them, they will send them to us.
So what's the best way for people to find out about you guys?
Honestly, in this day and age, I think Facebook is probably the great big piece as far as social media goes. We do have a huge standing on there that I'm aware of, and then just contacting us in any way, whether it be, you can go on our website and there's now a link that you can text us immediately, and we will respond via text message and have full conversations with you that way. We have someone manning that at all times, and then also anytime they want to call and reach out and make an appointment, we are there Monday through Friday.
Sure. I would perhaps maybe encourage you to also maybe communicate with Rodney Neff, our emergency preparedness director. So that way, whenever you guys know you're going to be in town, maybe he can send out something on his end too. on social media to
Definitely.
say, hey, be looking out for the RV that's gonna be here, just so we can help spread the word for you.
Great, thank you, that would be wonderful.
Awesome. Thank you, Council Mayor, for your time. We appreciate it. And certainly, I have made his contact information, and I'll keep you all updated. So appreciate the time.
Very good.
Thank you, guys.
Moving on further with citizens' participation, would you guys like to come forward? Totally up to you. Just go ahead and introduce yourselves.
Okay, I'm Mark Sacker, my husband Al, we live on Trainer, up about golf fields. We were just concerned about the police station and where it's going to be located, if it's being hidden. We really would prefer that it not be in our neighborhood. That's really all I have to say.
Okay.
I'd just like it to be more centrally located rather than the north end of town. Just in case, we just have to go somewhere.
Sure.
Shorter response time.
So, yes, I mean, as the public knows, we've been discussing some possibilities on what we may do with our police station. We certainly had no final decision on where that may be, but we will be having some pretty in-depth conversations about it in the very immediate future to try to make some plans for this coming budget year if we can. So,
And everyone knows that the cost of the materials has skyrocketed.
oh, for sure.
I don't know if it's a good time to do anything or not.
Yeah, exactly. That might be something we run into. But as far as location, yeah, there's nothing set in stone at this point in time. So definitely appreciate you guys coming and just expressing your concerns about that possibility. Does anybody have any questions for Mr. and Mrs. Ecker?
I have one.
Sure.
I talked to the young lady last meeting or so. You're worried about the criminals that they caught, that they escaped.
Well, yeah.
And it doesn't, this building that you're going to build, explain to her about the people that you arrest and take in. And don't you drive in and close the door, they can't get out?
Well, correct. We don't house criminals here. The jail that we house is a proper county. We don't house criminals here.
So when you catch somebody, you drive into the building and close the door, there's no way they can get out.
If there's criminals that we have arrested and we are going to be taken to jail, but they have to go through an interview process, we will have a sally port in which we will go in where they will be secured before they get out of the patrol car, and then you put into a holding cell until our holding room to interview before they go to Crawford County.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Appreciate you guys coming. And
Well, thank you.
You bet. Pleasure.
Thanks.
Is there any other citizens' participation this evening? Anybody else like to come forward? Hearing none, we will move on to our Public Works Director report. Craig, what do you have?
First thing on the agenda is our part-time grounds positions are up, and we've got more to hire here. We got a recommendation, which is okay for the council. The young boy's name is Lewis Warner. He can start like June 1st, so he gets out of school.
This is our summer help.
Summer help, he did summer help too.
Motion to hire. Okay, motion by Mouse. Second by Martin. Let's go ahead and hire the gentleman for our part-time summer help. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, we'll get him hired.
And the other thing I have, which will be electric, hiring lineman. We discussed it, and Nate Steinskamp. I'll spell it to you later. It's who we chose, so. And the discussion was, $17.50 an hour for the start at.
And how does that fall into our existing salary schedule?
He fits about halfway up the apprentice line. He's not a journeyman lineman yet, so we put him about 3/4 way up, half to 3/4 up, so he comes a journeyman line.
Does he express interest to become employed here to become journeyman lineman?
Yes, he does. He wants to get to school. He's got some training now, but not enough training for NPA to represent this age full-time
Sure.
for us.
And where are we at on the scale from the other employees? Because that's gonna be a problem.
Once we do stuff, probably another time. He'll be a buck off from another guy that's actually very mine, so. It's the bottom scale.
How are you gonna wanna bring the other one up?
Hmm.
Well, from what he's making now. Because what are we talking
Yeah,
about?
I think he should come on the scale a little bit, yes.
So how much are you thinking there?
I don't know, that'll be a discussion we have. about it.
Yeah, well, before we start talking individual salaries,
Yeah.
you know, right now, the question is, you know, if we want to hire this gentleman, I think his recommendation, his preference, the recommendation from the committee was $17.50 an hour. So it's up to the council, whether they feel that that's something you're willing to work with right now, and, you know, if there's some discussion later, that would be another topic of discussion.
Does he have experience coming to us, experience, or?
He's been through a class in Georgia, and he does have, he's actually working on the union hall right now.
He's
I've
working,
been out of the union hall.
he's working for the electrical union.
Yes, he's working on it.
I'll make a motion to hire him at $17.50, that was it.
1750, yeah.
So we have a motion by Baus to hire the gentleman at $17.50 an hour. Second by Holt.
I wanna say something, Cody. Sure. You know, Craig, I know it's hard to find, but if y'all want this guy out, fine, he can learn the ropes as he goes, but we really need to start hiring linemen. You know, because, you know, 2 of us already retired, only got 2 left, but yeah. I'll go with you guys on this, it's the one you want.
Well, we didn't advertise for a lineman in this case.
Actually, this one was, it's just.
This was an advertisement for an actual lineman.
We've got a lot of competition local, it's hard to beat the salary, so. I think
So you actually didn't have any linemen apply.
2 of them are trained, that's what we have.
Understood. So, yeah, you know, that puts us in a difficult position because we need manpower.
Yeah,
We need to
have-
3 weeks for 2 guys, so we gotta get something going.
Okay.
Well, we pay linemen, we're not gonna get experienced linemen.
That's exactly right. So that's a conversation for another time, I think. But we do have a motion and a second on the table to hire the gentleman at $17.50 per hour. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
You didn't want a roll call on that one? Alright, fine.
If he is, are there any nays? Then there you have it. Okay?
And that's all I have.
Okay.
What you guys got today?
Craig, on the part-time summer help, are you maxed out on that, you got everybody you need for the summer rounds?
Our grounds are due, yes, we're still debating on construction, which way it goes.
Greg, we need to, don't you have to ask about hiring part-time for Joe Gomer?
Yes, can we hire part-time in summer, decide we're gonna go for the construction party?
Because Tim left,
We lost a full-time employee.
we lost a full-time
You get
employee.
part-time?
And I think we could use, instead of hiring a full-time employee in that department, we could get by with, the summertime is a busy time for that department. So if we use summer help part-time, we save a salary. And then they pay.
Then kind of reevaluate after the summer's over, see what we want to do moving forward. If you think your department can run that way, then I'm all for it.
He needs a second hand, yes,
Sure.
because he gets a lot of projects, yes.
Okay. Well, we have a motion to allow Craig to seek a candidate for the construction crew seasonal part-time help.
So, we're talking like 6 months, that part can go.
I make the motion.
Yeah, you want to run that from June 1st to Labor Day or something? I mean, I don't.
What is the definition of part-time for yourself, part-time actually?
I'm sorry.
Part-time, what's the definition, how far can actually be on
So
payroll?
really the definition is, I mean, they can work 40 hours a week, they just can't work over 1,499 hours a year.
1,499.
And this isn't summer help, this is a part-time position, correct?
Yes.
So
Yes.
permanent part-time?
Well, I mean, we want to be specific there. Are we hiring somebody that has the opportunity to run through the full $14.99, or are we just wanting to have somebody more seasonal, say from June 1st to after Labor Day?
I think that we can get by with our summer help on this one, and we'll look at it come the fall if we need to make it a part-time position.
So seasonal,
Seasonal, like the summer help for Jerry.
Okay, seasonal worker for the construction crew.
So you want to go part-time right now? Boy, we need somebody, we should go full-time, but I'll lean with you.
Well, and Kevin, in the wintertime, Jacob and Jerry usually fill in and help Joe.
I understand this.
So, I think if we get a part-time.
Yeah, I agree. Get him the help he needs now, and then we can reevaluate.
He actually is working full-time, 40-hour weeks, it's just kind of.
I think you should probably extend it till maybe late August or September, though.
I think that's
It's also still one of the projects.
So, June 1 to after Labor Day weekend.
October 1st,
Something like that. The weather stays nice later in the year, it seems like.
until October 1st.
June 1, October 1?
Yep.
I don't think you can get $14.99 in that period of time. Okay, is there a motion?
I think that motion.
Right. Motion by Baus,
Second.
seconded by Martin. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Then we'll get that posted as well. Anything else for Craig? Okay. Electric committee recommendation.
I think he.
We covered
That was,
That
all good. I was gonna say, what else would we have on that? Moving right along. Police chief report.
I don't have anything to report. We did get another nuisance in. We had an officer go by a little bit, was unable to make contact. But I do have a recommendation for the council tonight to hire for our open position that we have for patrolman. Name is Kevin Ziegler.
I'll make that recommendation to hire Kevin Ziegler.
Motion by Bell, second by Black, to hire Kevin Ziegler. He is a current law enforcement officer, correct?
Certified.
Certified. All good? Same in,
It's sort of a committee, I'm not a committee.
I don't know what amount.
I make the motion.
do we have a salary?
Do you know what you're gonna pay?
The 40,
Your recommendation?
entry level 40?
Correct.
Okay, so the committee recommendation, police chief recommendation is to hire Ziegler. We have a motion by Baus and a second by Black. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we'll hire the gentleman.
When's he start? Tomorrow?
Next Wednesday?
I know Kevin, he's a really good kid.
Good.
I didn't know he applied.
Okay, do we have anything else to do? Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Welcome aboard, Kevin.
Oh, he's here. You can say hi.
You go say hi to him. This is Kevin.
You think the chief would have introduced you formally and all that stuff?
I work with Kevin.
That's,
High school.
that's your initiation.
Oh.
We went to high school together, so we don't have to meet. Welcome.
Do us proud.
I will.
Don't get them bad guys.
Appreciate it. Thank you for your time.
Alrighty. We do have a recommendation this evening from the Planning and Zoning Committee. That committee held a public hearing on May 6, 2021. To hear the comments on the rezoning request submitted by Large Grayson LLC, also known as Leroy and Obia McGinnis, for a piece of property on east side of Washington Street, rezone that, from R1 to M1. And the recommendation of the Planning and Zoning Commission is that this request be approved by the council and that we move forward with a second hearing. So that would be the next step in the process. Ms. McGinnis is here. Both Mr. McGinnis's, I don't know if you guys have anything you want to add, but basically right now, what I'll ask of the council, if they so choose, they'll approve to move this to a second hearing. Once that second hearing is conducted, then, and there's no opposition that we have to take into consideration, then we'll take the steps to go ahead and finalize that. So if you guys have any questions for us, it's just kind of another stepping stone in the process.
Okay.
I don't have any questions unless you guys have questions.
I make that motion.
Second.
Okay, motion by Black, second by Holt to follow the recommendation of the Planning and Zoning Commission to approve the request and move forward with the second public hearing. And Christine, I suppose you'll get that posted in the paper with the date.
That's correct, so it'll be at the next council meeting, so it'll be held at the next council meeting, which is June 1st. And then your ordinance will be ready on June 15th, hopefully we get it recorded that week, and so you're talking probably, mid to late June for it to be finalized.
All right, we appreciate that. Very good. Thank you guys for coming this evening as well.
Don't we vote on this?
We do have a first and a second on the table. So all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you for that. Also, in regards to planning and zoning, we have some committee resignations. Did Roger submit anything for
We
me?
did not get anything formal.
Okay. So one of the resignations we received from our planning and zoning committee was that of Roger Bridgman. I spoke with Roger and he was very happy to serve, and we were certainly happy to have him. The only reason he's stepping aside at this point in time is just because he has a lot of irons in the fire. And this is one of the things that he thought maybe he could step aside from and give someone else the opportunity so that he can conduct some of his other business. With that being said, it was brought to my attention that there was a recommendation from the Planning and Zoning Committee to appoint Mr. Ray Mortimer to that position. So I spoke with Ms. Annalee Williams, who's a current member of that commission, and she was the one who basically reiterated to me that the board had, as a group, wanted the mayor to appoint Mr. Mortimer into that position. I gave it some thought. At the end of the day, it is a mayor's appointment. I spoke with Anna Lee, and I very much respect their recommendation. However, I let her know that I will be appointing Mr. Tony Hudson to the Planning and Zoning. He's here this evening. Tony's a good guy. Tony and I, we speak a lot about city business. He's really been doing a lot in his neighborhood where he lives, fixing up properties and improving property values and just really making his neighborhood a better place for everyone to live. I feel like he's going to be a good asset to our community on the Planning and Zoning Board, and hopefully, you never know, maybe get him a little bit more involved in the local government as we move forward. So, Tony, is there anything else you'd like to add to that?
No, I appreciate the opportunity. So for you all to know, I'm Tony. I've lived in Cuba for 34 years, which is the sum of my life. So happy to help.
Okay. Well, we thank you. So we have a motion to appoint. Motion by Mouse. Second by Black. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Tony, you're on board. Thank you. I will make sure everybody gets your contact information, and I will share some of that information with you. Get together, get you on the same board as everybody else, and start reading about zoning and educating yourself.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
didn't the board accept the resignation of them first before we appointed?
Yes. Well, I didn't have that, but yes. So, is there a motion to accept the resignation of Mr. Ryder? Motion by Kevin, second by Black. All in favor say aye. Aye. And again, I spoke with Roger, and I think that for his time, he's just a very busy man. Okay. With that being said, is there a motion to accept my appointment of Mr. Tony Hudson? Motion by Black, second by Mouse. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you for that. You just had to catch up for my for
Hold
my
on, I
mess.
gotta switch the mouse and black, now switch this one.
Same difference.
Okay.
All right. So, another note to that. Whenever I spoke with Ms. Annalee, she called me, and she had some concerns about my appointment of Mr. Hudson. Nothing about Mr. Hudson in particular, but because I did not adhere to the recommendation of the Planning and Zoning Board to appoint Mr. Mortimer. And through our conversation, I simply stated that, well, At the end of the day, this is a mayor's appointment. That does have to be approved by the council. So it's not that, there's not a system of checks and balances there. Also that, the people of Cuba, Missouri did choose to elect me into this position, and I hope they did that in good faith of knowing that I'm going to make good decisions, or decisions at least that I can stand by. And this was one of them. During our conversation, Ms. Annalee was still somewhat upset, and she's not here to speak for herself, so we don't need to get too involved with it. But after our conversation and early this morning, she did also submit her resignation from the Planning and Zoning Committee. Okay, so motion of the House. Yes, sir.
Mr. Mayor, before you take up this motion, I'm going to suggest that you not act on it tonight. I'd like a chance to speak with her.
I have, let me further my story here, if I may.
Let me just add a couple of things, and then if your decision is your decision. Ms. Williams has been on the Planning and Zoning Committee for 30 years.
Yes.
Which has been an infinite assistance to me as a city attorney. I rarely have to do much more than verify what's going on before she knows before what happens. I don't believe that you have anybody else on the Planning and Zoning that can do that. If you take this resignation without giving me a chance to speak, just be aware there's a good chance that legal expenses will have to go up, because she does a lot of the planning and zoning work that I haven't had to do, because my office has been working with her for however long Williams and Robinson has been the attorney, which I've been here for 10 years, and I think Kent Robinson was here for 10 years before that, and we were also attorneys back in the 90s and early 2000s. I understand that there's some hurt feelings here, and I'm not speaking as to that part of it, but before we lose that institutional knowledge because somebody had a bad day, I just think it might be a good idea if you let me speak with her.
Okay.
That's solely my opinion.
Sure, thank you for that. To continue that conversation.
Wait, just one minute here, okay? Just 1 minute here.
Please.
I agree with Lance, let's hold off on this resignation. I believe Annalee probably wrote this book. I mean, she's been hundreds and thousands of hours. She knows that like the back of her hand. So it's not an emergency to accept this right now. Okay, Cody, go ahead.
Allow me to read her official resignation letter she submitted to myself and council. And then I will offer my report. Your point? Thank you. Well, hey, this is why these meetings are held. May 17th, 2021. After my conversation with the mayor this evening, and a lot of careful reflection, please consider this my official letter of resignation from the City of Cuba Planning and Zoning Commission. I have served as a member of the Planning and Zoning Commission for almost 30 years, and not once during that time has a mayor so blatantly disrespected the recommendation of the commission in the matter of a board appointment. The Planning and Zoning Commission consists of a board of 5 people who volunteer their time and knowledge for the betterment of the City of Cuba. We put ourselves on the line with every decision we made, and often take a lot of slack from the community for those decisions. If nothing else, we deserve respect for the efforts we freely put forth. With that being said, it has been a pleasure serving the city as a member of the Planning and Zoning Commission, Ms. Annalee Williams. So after our conversation, I felt it was my due diligence as mayor to reach out to the members of the Planning and Zoning Commission individually and explain to them why I was going to make the appointment I was going to make against the board's recommendation. Without naming names, I've spoke with 3 of the 5 members. Annalee would be one of them, so that would make 4. Not one of those 3 individuals had any clue about Mr. Mortimer being the gentleman recommended. There was no board formal decision. That is untrue. The fact that I am so blatantly disrespecting the recommendation of the commission is also untrue, because there was no real recommendation for the commission after speaking to those individual members. So I don't appreciate that, as well as being told I'm so blatantly disrespecting something that really didn't even exist in the first place. So with that being said, council, it's up to you guys if you want to accept her resignation or not. If so accepted, I will be sure I find someone in accordance, working alongside with the existing planning and zoning commission, that would be a good fit moving forward. Again, it's up to you guys, and please consider Lance's guidance as well.
I will hold with my motion to accept her resignation.
Okay, so we have a motion on the table to accept the recommendation. Is there a second?
What's your recommendation?
To accept Annalise.
To accept Annalie's recommendation?
Sounds like she's done.
And I'll second that.
Okay, we have a first and a second to accept the resignation. And on this, I guess, since there's possibility of some names, we'll go ahead and poll council.
Hopefully.
A reason to vote this way is I'm gonna listen to our attorney. I believe we should hold off for a little bit. Ellie holds a lot of knowledge. I know there's some aggravation here, you know, I can see where you're coming from, but the best interest for the city of Cuba right now is hold off on this vote, as our attorney said for now. There's no emergency why we should rush this.
Well, we're going to be having some planning and zoning on the board here soon. So it's not something that I'm going to, put too much time in, so we can conduct business as usual.
We need the knowledge, though, we need the knowledge she has right now. My vote's
It's
gonna be,
up to you guys. If you
for the
feel
best
it's
interest of
irreplaceable,
Cuba,
that's fine.
Lance, advice, no.
Black,
Yes.
Martin,
Yes.
Holt,
No.
Bounce,
Yes.
it's, they accepted it.
Okay, yeah, 3-2. Okay, so with a vote of 3-2, her resignation will be accepted. Thank you, council. Lance, thank you. I definitely appreciate your insight. It's just, it's very disparaging to me how this happened. And there's some things I really don't appreciate. Moving forward. With that being said, welcome aboard, Tony, and I'll team up with the commission and my council to seek Annalie's replacement. Bills to be paid. You have the bills in front of you, as well as the addition to the bills to be paid. Motion to pay the bills. Motion by Holt. Second by Black. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Bills paid. Line item number 9, bill number 2000. Motion for the first reading of bill number 2000.
Motion.
Motion by Martin.
Second.
Second by Holt. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? First reading.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor of the city of Cuba, Missouri, on behalf of said city, to enter into and execute a lease for certain municipal property located within the municipal limits of Cuba, Missouri. By the way, this is the Chamber of Commerce that's running the space in tourism. Just to put it in a nutshell.
Okay, you've heard the first reading of bill number 2000. Motion to approve.
Motion.
Motion by Black. Second by Holt. Poll the council, please.
Copeland,
Yes.
Black,
Yes.
Martin,
Yes.
Holt,
Yes.
Bounce.
Mr. Mayor, if I may just interject it for a minute. The chamber has in the past paid into the tourism a fee, because the tourism, the visitor center answers the phone as Cuba Chamber and Tourist Center, or Visitor Center. And they kind of pulled back from that, and so this is really just reinstating the contribution from the chamber for us to go ahead as a tourism group and visitor center to do some work for them so that they will have a permanent place to call home, because their officers do change on an annual basis, so clarify on that.
Thank you. We had a first and a second for the second reading, is that correct? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Second reading.
Oh, I'm sorry, we did not. We went
Motion.
first. Thank you.
Okay. First and a second by Black and Martin. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
An ordinance authorizing the mayor of the city of Cuba, Missouri, on behalf of said city, to enter into and execute a lease for certain municipal property located within the municipal limits of Cuba, Missouri.
Okay, you've heard the second reading of bill number 2000. Motion to approve. Motion by Black. Second by Marshall. Poll the council, please.
Kraus,
Yes.
Holt,
Yes.
Martin,
Yes.
Black,
Yes.
Coleman.
Yes.
Okay, let me show the second reading of bill number 2000 passes 5-0. It is now special ordinance 818. 818. Okay, old unfinished new business with any announcements. We are going to hold a special meeting on Thursday, May 20th, so this Thursday, so we can start working as a council on some of these budget items. Does everybody feel okay with Thursday at 6? Any opposition to Thursday at 6? Excuse me, it's that time of year where we gotta have several of these so we can get everything ironed out in time to have a balanced budget for fiscal year 2022. So special meeting Thursday at 6, council. Thank you. Outside of that, I don't think I have anything else. Kevin, what you have?
Well, we got a fair coming up, Cody, and I'd like to see a couple of city trucks in it in July. You know, it's up to y'all. It'd be nice to, you know, in the city of Cuba, put a couple trucks in the city of Cuba. That's for the voter. The other thing is, I'm gonna go back. Years ago, I listened to my dad. He's a lot wiser than I am, a lot smarter. When I cut this board, he said, there's gonna be some votes you don't wanna make, but you gotta make it. He said, it's gonna be hard. As the years went, I learned I made a few mistakes by not listening to our attorney. I thought, I don't like that advice, I'm going to vote against that. Well, I was wrong. My dad says, if you're paying their attorney for advice, listen to him. Though you agree or disagree with him, listen to him, go with what he's saying. Tonight he asked us just to hold off for a little bit. Just maybe a couple weeks. Apparently he's one company I'll leave. I would have liked to give him the opportunity. I respect Lance. I respect my dad very highly. And I remember what he said. He said, if you're paying an attorney, even though you agree or disagree with what he's saying, listen to him. He knows something probably we don't. That's why I went with Lance advice, because my dad taught me well. So I don't think a few days would have hurt to let Lance at least talk to her. Now, she may not talk to Lance a lot. Lance is going to have a lot of work now. But I don't know what Lance was looking for, so I would like to give him that few days left. We could have did this at the next meeting, not a special meeting. You know, so I just want to make myself plain before why I did what I did.
Understood.
You know, and that's why I did it. So I'm done.
Understood. Thank you, Kevin. Sam?
No.
Ms. Debbie?
Yes, because I forgot this. The Parks Committee met last night, and they have some recommendations for some summer help at the pool that we need to, they would like for us to approve. The first person, McKenna Shelton, as a lifeguard. Michaela Harst, I believe I pronounced that, work the front gate and concession stand. Matty Sykes, the front gate and concession stand. Max Kimberlin, the front gate and concession stand. And then Kaylee William as a lifeguard front gate and concession stand employee. So they would like to have approval for those 5 people for the summer.
Motion.
Motion by Black to hire those, second by Holt, to hire those folks for the pool for the summer. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you.
And then the other thing I have is I had a citizen request, and this, I think this probably would be possibly the police look at it, and then ultimately Lance write an ordinance if it's approved. They're asking for consideration of a 4-way stop signs at the corner of Glassy and Springfield in hopes of slowing down some fast-moving traffic through there that whizzes by. So I assume you look at it.
We have had that asked before, quite a while back and stuff. We said we'd watch it, you know, we get our officers out there in their patrol cars and watch, and of course they drive slow. So it's usually in the evening or whenever they're seeing them. But it hasn't been anything major that our officers have been able to pick up with the number of fast moving vehicles through there.
You know, I think this town has more stop signs than any other town, so why not add one more? So I guess that's an actual ordinance, Lance, to install that sign, so Craig, if you guys wanna work on that, we can get a motion.
Do it like they did over on, I know over on, Fleener, when they put a stop sign up there, it's kind of odd place to put a stop sign, whenever you put one up there. It takes a long time for people to get used to a stop sign being there, so we get the complaints also of people running the stop sign.
They did that at the pool.
But, and they did it at the pool, you it can always be temporary, and always be taken down if it doesn't work out, so.
And I don't think these people are necessarily wanting people ticketed just because there's a stop sign and they don't realize that, initially you do have to adjust to that, but if it would kind of slow down some.
It sure wouldn't hurt to put one there.
Okay, and so along those lines, the other thing, and Greg, I think I mentioned this to you, but I'm not sure. There are several stop signs that have lost their reflective properties, and at night are pretty difficult to see. And as summer approaches, we have more limbs hanging down, we have more leaves, we have more growth. Some of those signs are pretty difficult to see, so if we could maybe get a list or make some effort to replace some of those non-reflective stop signs that we have, I think that would be beneficial from a crash standpoint.
Lance, do we need to make a motion to move forward with the stop sign so you can prepare an ordinance?
It's not necessary for me, typically that's what is done, it's like formal statement, you want an ordinance, but it's not necessary, you tell me you want an ordinance or not.
Okay.
So,
We want an ordinance there for stop signs, so Craig can get you all the information, address or whatever. Cool. Yeah. Curtis?
I got one thing, I had a citizen call me, I don't know if we have an ordinance on this or not, but there was a gentleman riding his horse at Taylor Creek Park.
Seen that.
And he said it was tearing up the grounds quite a bit, which, that's gonna happen. But he was wanting to know if the horse has to go to the bathroom, who's gonna clean that up? The city or the guy riding the horse? The owner. But is there an ordinance against them for riding the horses on city property in the city?
I don't think that there is. It's something we might need to think about. I mean, we hope that when folks walk their dogs, they clean up after them, not always the case. But a horse is a little bit bigger, but,
It's like the ATVs, that they can't ride the ATVs for them on the walkways and all that parts, so.
yeah,
Do you have anything on file that says you can't ride a horse on city property?
right.
Because he watches it all the time, and Kevin's already seen the horse.
I've seen them too, I saw them the other day. I was like, am I seeing things, or?
I'm just bringing it because this gentleman called me and I
Sure.
said, I'll bring it and see if there's anything on file or we can do something
I can
about it.
look in the code book tomorrow and let you know. I mean, I'm pretty sure that there's like a leash law. I know it's not the same thing, but there might be talking about
Right.
doggy duty and stuff. So maybe there's something.
Let's we'll research what we currently have. In the meantime, we'll see if it does become an issue, then we may have to create it.
There's a lot of horse stuff in the code book from like 1950.
Right, we can find something.
I was gonna say, yeah, there's a whole bunch of ordinances in there about how fast they can go.
Speed limits.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I may be out of line here, whatever, but I'm the one about the horse.
Okay.
Just haven't had some pictures.
What was your name, sir? Can we get your name, sir?
Harold Limbaugh.
Yeah.
You know.
I do. Yeah, we spoke. That horse went right in front of your house.
There are your pictures. Would you care? I could bring them over, but there's the cowboy. And then you can.
Yeah.
This tore up, it looks like hogs has been in there rooting in the park. I mean, these little kids, and boy, there's going to be a bunch of kids in that park.
Yeah.
They're running, they hit one of them poles, they fall over and break on. Who's responsible?
Sure. No, it's a good point. Not really something we've had to think about before, but it's definitely a concern. When a muddy day, a horse could really rake up some ground.
You've done some good things.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll mark up grass or turn it up too.
Yeah. I mean, you can make
And then the light thing, there's the lights over there that they hadn't had to cover on for years.
That's up.
Well, let us look at our existing ordinances, and then if we need to create something, we can.
Okay, I'll finish up and get out of here.
All good, thank you for,
I want to thank you. You know what you've done, I know what you've done.
yeah, thanks for coming up here.
And the electric, after you made mayor, you got the trees trimmed, you still was off all the time.
Well, it could be better, but we're trying to get there.
They're very seldom. I don't need them.
Okay.
He sees a horse all the time.
Oh, did,
This will take more thought.
let me give these to Craig. I'll give these to Craig. So, awesome, thank you, sir.
You got part of them.
That's right.
Put it there.
Thank you for coming.
Okay. The mysterious cowboy.
My turn.
Yes, Jeff.
I got the first one, I asked Craig a question. Where are you on the ditching schedule?
We are going to start, like Highland Terrace, right? We've been playing catch up on all the flood stuff there lately. We get down here on Circle Rock, that fixed.
Yeah.
We're gonna try to do sections, we're gonna do ones to fix the best.
All right. When you make a ditching schedule, I'd like a copy of that. And then, I want to say something, and I'll be the bad guy again, but don't we have this because of some planning and zoning issues? This stormwater thing, houses being allowed to be built and where they shouldn't have been. So maybe that's why we might need a change on the planning and zoning board. And secondly, I would like to say, if the registered owner didn't know about the appointment of Mr. Mortimer, do we really want somebody like that on the board?
Well, again, Miss Emily's not here to defend herself, but those were the facts that I received, and then those were the things that were told.
I want to say, based on what you said, that's why I made mine. So,
Understood.
nothing against you, Lance, but that's my sense for it.
I don't take those personally.
Yeah, I know. We've had some pretty rough conversations over the years.
One or two, it's okay.
And on that, ladies and gentlemen, and Kevin, we've received a lot of information. Kevin, I know that your mailbox is probably full through some complaints and some inquiries on the situation over Highland Terrace from some of the landowners. Not our first rodeo here. No pun intended on our cowboy guy. But the water issue is just something that's been there. I've been up here for 4 years as an alderman, a year as a mayor. It's been the same song and dance. We've had an engineer look at it. You guys all have a pamphlet of some of their findings and recommendations. We've expanded the retention pond. High volume rains, it doesn't seem to hold it. So, it's a matter of what's next, council. Do we want to ask Archer to take another look? Do we want to ask them to take another look at some of their other recommendations that we haven't visited yet? I'm not looking for a motion right now, but now that you have this in front of you again, maybe look at it, and hopefully soon, especially with the budget year coming up, where we start allocating money towards things. What, if anything, do we want to do in Highland Terrace to address this issue? So just consider that.
So, I think we need to keep all options open. Done the same with everything.
Yes. Well, with all options being open together, eventually it's going to take a motion. Whatever that motion may be, we can work together as a group, or somebody wants to take the initiative and make a motion. It is what it is. It's not going to go away. It hasn't gone away, so it's just what do we want to do about it moving forward. And it's just something to consider as we move into the budget.
I want to go ahead and I want to suggest that we have someone from Archer to come down and let's sit down and ask them to find us different options. It's not so expensive that might fix this problem.
Are there current options that they have already presented that we just haven't looked further into yet? Maybe we can task Craig with talking with Cameron and just having an off-the-cuff conversation about these plans that they submitted to us already, and getting his thoughts on if there's already a possibility that we could try, or if they've basically already exhausted everything to this point and we need to revisit it again for a further look. Let's find out where we're at with what we've already had done, and then make a decision from there. But I agree, we need to communicate with them and get their thoughts. We've paid them to do this study, and they did the study. We'll see if there's anything more to learn from it.
We need something that's not so expensive to the people of Cuba.
Don't disagree. That's with anything we do.
And it don't require buying,
Yes, sir.
buying more property from Mr. Rivers to move the.
Craig, if you're gonna talk to arts engineer, I'd like to know about, now, I probably should talk to you outside, but I'd like to know about the holding pond, the holding tank. Why they put them 2 inlets there instead of release valve, if it overflowed, they put an overflow top, it came out that way. I'd like to know more about what I'm looking at, you know. Okay?
Well, I would encourage you, if you do have any type of formal sit down with Cameron, to maybe have water, sewer, street committees there too, if they can be here. Anything else, Jeff?
That's all I have.
Chris? Okay. All right, that being said,
Hey, Cody, I gotta say one last thing.
go right.
I was gonna vote yes on Annalise.
Right today.
I was,
Not
but
a big
when
deal.
they said that,
It's not a big,
okay.
thank you. Okay, motion to go into executive session. Motion by Holt. Second by Black. Full council, please.
Copeland,
Yes.
Black,
Yes.
Martin,
Yes.
Holt,
Yes.
Bass.
Yes.
Okay. Let me show voted 5-0 to enter into executive